All right, we're back on Gaughan Racing, and I say back because we didn't have a show last week because of the All-Star race.
If you bet the All-Star race, good luck. You don't love your money. You let it has wings. You let it fly away. But I'm sure somebody won money on Joey Logano. Congratulations.
I'm sure they did. By the way, Jeff Motley alongside Brendan Gaughan here in the South Point studios. First time I've been in here in like 3 weeks.
You've been gone for a while.
I was gone. By the way, if I can just have a little selfless plug, congratulations to my nephew Jacob graduating Virginia Tech, and my good friends Clark and Izzy on getting married. So I was back in Virginia.
You're busy back in Virginia.
Exactly. I was back there for both a graduation.
By God, Virginia.
And no, that's that other state that those of us from Virginia don't always
You want to get them upset? Do that one right there.
Exactly. Yes. So.
Got to rise out of it. That was the easy button. Beep.
Although, you know what? I keep meeting people from West Virginia, and I seem to like them all, which is really kind of like I didn't used to.
You're going to get banned from going home next time you say that. You just said that on air. I
don't think we hate them as bad as we did. I think the old days of the Hatfields and McCoys.
If you had money on a giant brawl, would you have won?
Well, I don't know who even won, but tail of the tape might have been a bigger deal at the All-Star race at North Wilkesboro than actually the odds to win. Some news this week after this little fracas between Kyle Busch and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Ricky Stenhouse Sr.
Yeah, I mean, really. First of all, to my guy Jerry Tuttle, he was. If you watch the video, Jerry Tuttle is the 73-year-old truck driver for Kyle Busch. That was my favorite truck driver in the world, Turtle. He owns Buck and Bulls. He's a tough old cowboy. And if you watch the 28-year-old that got head planted on the back of the tailgate, that would be my man Tuttle. 73-year-old took out the 28-year-old in with malice. It was awesome.
There was that one big guy on Kyle's crew, and I mean, literally, it was like those old battle royals in wrestling, and that one big guy, it's just throwing everybody out of the ring.
Yeah, no, that was my favorite line was Kyle saying, "I suck just as bad as you." It was an impressive fight. The All-Star race, we got, if you're watching the podcast, we've you can actually show these things. Ricky punching with the wrong foot forward, really just embarrassing. And then more embarrassing is the fact
Ricky
that his
Stenhouse
father got involved in this. Just side note, if you watch right here at the end, you're going to see a guy choke Kyle, and then the old man in the back was really, come on, learn to fight. See, this is. Nobody used to want to fight me because it'd be like me fighting a 12-year-old. It didn't, heavyweight versus the flyweight division. But,
maybe we should get Ross Chastain on the show to talk about it.
He doesn't like talking about that, Dad. I don't think. I think it's kind of amusing. There's no video of it. You got only proof you got is his bloody face afterwards on TV.
So the only thing where this really, for our bettors, plays over is, does this carry into Charlotte? Ricky says it does. Richard Childress said it better not. I got to believe NASCAR. Here's the deal. Ricky got fined $75,000.
First time ever for a fight.
And if he does anything untoward toward Kyle in his race car at Charlotte, he's going to be missing a few races.
He'll be thrown out.
And even if he were to win at Daytona, he may not even get a waiver to get in the playoffs because I don't think NASCAR is going to take very well to that.
No, it'd be absolutely asinine for him to do something this weekend. The only question I have from the race, because the fight notwithstanding, is do I take this and say, hey, Joey Logano, by the way, won the race, just in case anybody wanted to know, and do I take this to the next short track race and say, oh, hey, the Fords or Joey Logano, the next one is going to be not really Gateway, but maybe, Iowa in a few weeks. Do I say that gives me anything to look at? Brand new pavement, the dual tire thing.
And these points races are much longer races, too.
Longer races, no dual tire, lots of stuff. Congratulations, Joey Logano, on winning it. Noah Gragson on the fan vote. Whoever won the actual thing to open to get in.
Ty Gibbs and Bubba Wallace both transferred.
Congratulations to those guys. Great job. Let's talk about what matters to us, which is money. And the last time we put money on the deal, we were talking Darlington. And the odds to win Darlington, wow, what a hell of a race, Motley. Brad Keselowski, the Chris Buescher, Tyler Reddick. How about RFK? The Fords, we have written them off. And Brad Keselowski and RFK and Chris Buescher, hell of a battle that whole day.
No question about it. And, I think one of our favorite guys is Chris Buescher. And he has had two very, very hard luck points races the last two. He even had a good run in the All-Star race too, but he lost right there by I don't know what, 0.001 to Kyle Larson the week before, and then he goes down to Darlington. We know the incident with Tyler Reddick, who's another one of our favorite guys. I hate to see two of our guys but you know what, I thought the way they handle things at the end of that race was a little bit better than they got handled last week.
Chris was frustrated 2 weeks in a row. He's been basically, had a win kind of not taken from him. It's just, had close to wins and frustration. And Tyler, in Tyler's defense, if you listen to him, Tyler went, dude, I went for it. I messed up. And if you watch, everything lined up with what Tyler said. He was turning. You watch the data. He hit the brakes, trying not to hit him. They both got flats. Sucks for both of them.
But immediately, as soon as that race is over, if you're Chris Buescher, it doesn't matter at that point. Now, maybe a day later, or maybe by the time you get home that night, you're like, okay, I know he's
I've been there.
racer.
Look, I've been on both ends. I've been the guy that wrecked somebody by accident and didn't mean to, and the guy that got wrecked in a racing deal by accident. And nothing fixes it. But the right thing was what they both did right there. They both got there. They both said, hey, look, the interview, Tyler afterwards said, man, I feel terrible. I went for the win. I missed, and I took a guy out that I shouldn't have taken out. And Chris goes, man, it's frustrating. But he also understood. I sent Buescher a message afterwards, because like we said, we're big fans of Chris Buescher on the show, and just said, hey, dude, your time is coming, and it could be this week at Charlotte.
Let me ask you a question about that scenario. Tyler Reddick already had a win, clinched into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Buescher doesn't have a win; he's not clinched into the playoffs.
That's where the bigger frustration is.
But if you're Tyler Reddick, are you thinking about that? I mean, Tyler Reddick, okay, he did certainly drive a little bit over his head into that turn, but are you thinking about the fact that
here's the thing,
that guy isn't in?
No, about him not being in. No, he's thinking I'm going for broke. I got nothing to lose. I've already got the win. He's not thinking who he's racing against. He tried to race him clean.
And you think after the fact, he's like, man, if I had bumped into Denny Hamlin, who's locked into the playoffs, or Kyle Larson, I mean, it wouldn't have been as big a deal as
after the fact. When after he gets out of the car and he can kind of look at the whole thing. Even after he did it, he probably went, "Oh man, I screwed poor Chris." Absolutely. After he did it, when you're racing, we're racing to win. He's racing to go win for his team. He wants his guy to be there. That's all he's trying to do. What happened, and he felt bad right when it happened. I promise you, he was like, because Tyler's not. There's some guys that don't give a crap. Tyler's a guy that cares. And he was like, oh, and then he thought about, man, Chris is working he's sitting right now 14th in points. He's only 9 points, 11 points, 9 points to the good. It's like, man, he is right there on the cusp.
Well, and he even ended up getting a horrible finish because of the tire going down and having to pit. So he didn't even get a top 3 or a top 5.
No, he got a 30th place finish or whatever it was.
Well, taking a look at the odds from Darlington, just so we can recap them. Brad Keselowski, who ended his 3-year drought of winning a race, 16-1. He was plus 500 for a top 3. He won Group C at plus 220. He brought Ford home at plus 450. Great 450. Return. Fords were really, really good at Darlington. His championship odds really didn't change as much as I thought they might. Went from an 18-1 open to he's 16-1 now, but
it's because he's still a dark horse in the championship. But if RFK keeps running the way they are, it's going to keep going that way.
And we talked about the Fords. Yep. Now, in addition to Brad Keselowski winning, and Ty Gibbs came in second, strong
plus
run for him. And we were talking on the show, what's the love with Josh Berry? Well, the love with Josh Berry was he came in third at 20-1.
The Gaughan Racing will be the first one to apologize to Josh Berry for the things we said about you before the race. 20-1 top 3, and I said there was no chance.
Also, his teammate Chase Briscoe gets a top 5.
The guys that needed it more than anybody. Noah's been the star over there,
and I didn't know Noah finished 11th or 12th. I mean, he had a solid run.
He had a good run and had got mixed up in the end where he ended up 14th, but was running much better than that. So I mean, Stuart Haas had a decent week, but talk about two guys that needed it: Chase Briscoe and Josh Berry, both of them there. Bubba Wallace, good one. Justin Haley, top where did
10.
That come from?
Exactly, and he ran solid all day long. And Michael McDowell, another Ford, in there in the top 10. I mean, so how many Fords we got in that top 10 there? Is that 4 of them, 5 of them?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 in the top 10.
And none of those 5 are named Chris Buescher. And, by the way, none of those 9 are named Penske. So
that's impressive.
I think that just shows that maybe Ford is starting to turn the corner a little bit, certainly running a little better. We'll take a quick look at our current standings right now. And I don't think there's really any big surprise right now, other than the fact that we've got some key guys like Bubba Wallace and Joey Logano are on the outside right now. Chase Briscoe is snuck in. So Bubba is 6 points behind the cutoff line. Joey Logano, he is 30 points behind the cutoff line. And he didn't get any points for North Wilkesboro.
No, he did not. He didn't get a W and he didn't get points. But, and remember, if somebody wins one of these Daytona races or, a road course coming up here and is way back, that's going to move that line even to where they're even further behind. How about Noah Gregson, though? We're showing right there 19th after the penalty and everything. He's got himself really close to being back. Not really close. He's almost 90 points out. But he was way back. That's how strong he's been in this deal. And Chase Briscoe, who we don't talk much about, quietly sitting there in that 16th hole.
Well, and I've got to believe that how well Buescher's run lately, Keselowski getting that win, I believe everybody, with maybe exception of the Penske cars, but all these other Ford teams have got to be out there saying, wow, we've definitely have found something here. We're running better. So their confidence level.
Well, at least somebody's found something. They need to get together as a group and try to figure out what it is, because I think that's what Chevrolet does the best right now, and Toyota, of course, is they get all that information to all the teams. Right now, RFK has not been the top Ford since 2002, and all of a sudden they are the best Ford in the garage.
Well, and then what we got coming up on our schedule this week, we've got the Coke 600 Charlotte, longest race of the year, 600 miles at Charlotte. But I'm kind of excited for what's to come after that. We have our second trip ever to Worldwide Technology Raceway, Gateway. St. Louis. Then we're going to the road course in Sonoma, which you and I, you may not be there for the race in Sonoma, but West Coast Stock Car Dick Cobb, former South Point hotel employee, Jimmy Vassar, another Vegas resident, is also getting inducted. And then we'll take our first trip ever to the cornfields of Iowa for a NASCAR Cup Series race. You raced there, I guess, in trucks and Xfinity. Or ran the first. Was that a truck race or Xfinity?
Yep, truck race.
Okay. And then after that, we go up to New Hampshire. That's the Magic Mile.
The Crayon 301, not the Crayon Crayola like we had the talk last year.
Oh yeah, that was
an embarrassing day. Yeah.
Well,
we had to look it up. It wasn't.
We did have to look it up, but I think we knew going in.
I didn't. Well, I didn't. I thought it was Crayola. I was like excited.
No, it's that Georgetown education for
crayon!
You right there, I believe.
It's a crayon. I mean, come on, even Ann. Everybody thought it was Crayola.
Well, we knew it was going to be a colorful race. Okay. All right. We'll be back on Gaughan Racing. We'll start talking about the odds for this week's Coke 600.
South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style Paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world. Our gaming amenities include over 60 table games and over 2,600 of the most popular slot and video poker machines. We have penny slots, including the popular Buffalo games, and real machines like Wheel of Fortune, Triple Sevens, and Megabucks. If you prefer video poker, try Deuces Wild, Double Double Bonus, or a variety of multi-denomination games. Or try your hand at one of the most popular casino table games in the world, Blackjack. Don't let the game intimidate you. Blackjack, also known as 21, is both easy and fun. And our dealers are always happy to assist. And the best part? Blackjack always pays 3 to 2. Next, check out the roulette tables. Roulette is one of the easiest casino games to learn, and so much fun to play. It's a favorite of both beginners and seasoned players. In addition to blackjack and roulette, our casino pit features over 60 popular table games like Baccarat, Pai-Gow Poker, 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and Mississippi Stud. So get out of your room and come join in the fun.
Welcome back to Gaughan Racing. Jeff Motley alongside Brendan Gaughan.
I love us.
And Ann behind the glass, who
I love us.
definitely provides comedic entertainment.
Who has more
for
fun
us.
than us? First of all, the fact that South Point has to advertise 3-2 blackjack. Of course, on Sirius and things, you don't hear the commercials we run here, but the fact we have to advertise 3-2, and then Ann says 3-2 blackjack, 3-2, like.
What is 3-2?
I go, yeah, she works in a casino. She needs to learn some of those things. And by the way, just for those that forgot, Crayon Software 301, it's a software IT cloud company. I had to re-look it up because I forgot it is not Crayola Crayon
Yes, they
301.
won't be sponsoring you anytime soon. So.
Can Crayola Crayon sponsor me at least? I mean, come on. I got kids while they're out of the crayon. Well, I mean,
you're kind of a big kid
I
yourself.
ate a lot of crayons growing up. I was one of those kids. Come on. I mean, hey.
I'm sure you had a nice big box of 64.
I had the 128,
The
baby.
one,
Come on.
Oh, yeah, you're younger than I am. I'm not sure they
I had
had
the big box.
I don't
Wasn't
think
it
they had
128? No, maybe it was 64. That was the
I
big
know we
box.
had a 64 when I was a kid.
Oh.
So anyway,
You like
All
I
right.
did the math that quick, though.
That was
3-2, and 3-2.
Okay.
Let's
but
get out of here.
This
Help
weekend
me
we're
out.
talking about the Coke 600 in Charlotte, and before we
How
get
many laps
into
would that be, Jeff?
that's 400 laps, 600 miles. It's a mile and a half.
Is it 400
around that
even?
time. 400
All right.
even, because this race, unlike all the others, has 4 stages instead of 3, I believe. Each stage is 100 laps long.
Ask Jeff Motley about Las Vegas and the famous 412 race. That was
427.
for 427.
It was
yeah.
the Shelby
K.
427,
K.
and the only person, no, that was 427
the truck,
miles.
No, the truck series
was
had the K race.
350K.
That's what it was.
It was always a 350K, and we had to change it to a 200 when we started running the triple header weekend because it didn't make sense to have the 300 be an Xfinity race and the truck race
and
be
the
a 350, but the Xfinity race was longer. Try explaining that one. So that's why the truck race went back to a 200. So, have I confused you enough? And by the way, the only person that's still upset about the Shelby 427 is Clint Boyer because he was leading after 400 miles, and Kyle Busch ended up winning the race.
Remember that?
Because it was 27 miles longer. In fact, he didn't let me forget it when we were having lunch over here at Michael's that day.
When I
he
was
came
eating
in
spaghetti
here.
with him.
Oh yeah, you were doing. You guys recreated the Lady and the Tramp scene.
It's a great picture. Great picture.
Yeah, I need to go find that picture.
I got it.
If we had it, we'd put it on the screen.
I got
right
it.
now.
Not sending it to Ann.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's
Talk about who did his
All
well,
right,
Charlotte.
but before we get into that, one of the biggest stories for this weekend is that Kyle Larson is going to run the Indy 500 and then quickly fly to Charlotte to run the Coke 600, weather permitting, because right now the weather in Indy is looking pretty iffy for the weekend, unfortunately. What if now we don't have an odd, but if you were an odds maker, what would you put on his odds of winning both races?
So here's the thing. Nobody's ever won both, of course. Nobody's ever even won one or the other. I think Tony Stewart has the best in whole weekend. I think he had like a third and a sixth or something like that.
And if you win the Indy 500, it's really going to be hard to get down to Charlotte.
Well, no, and they've said that with Roger Penske involved back in the Tony George days, they said they wouldn't let them out of media obligations. Roger Penske, of course, has said media obligations would be allowed to
have an uplink on the plane, right?
Yeah, I mean they're going to end up with something. Look, here's the thing: is he the favorite to win this race? He is the co-favorite, to win this race in Charlotte in the Coke 600. So you got to say that he's 600 to win the Coke 600. Now you can't be any less. Now winning the Indy 500, he is absolutely a long shot. I would put the odds at winning both. I think a book would be scared to make it a triple digit, 100-1 type thing, but I'll bet you should be at least, look, South Point, we take risk. I'd go back there. I'd tell Jimmy and I'd tell Chris to go ahead and put up a 80, 90, 100-1 shot just to draw some up on it, give a big return. I would love to see him do it, but I don't know. It's just so tough, man. It's the most difficult double in the world.
And winning the Indy 500 when you haven't even raced in an IndyCar race. Now, we saw Kurt Busch go up there and did an amazing job.
Oh, my God, did amazing.
Kurt ran 6th or 7th up there. We've had Tony Stewart's been, John Andretti did it, Robbie Gordon did it. So we'll see. First off, let's hope the weather holds out that Kyle is
Good
able
luck to Kyle.
do it.
I think that's going to be awesome. Good luck to Kyle.
Right.
I'm excited for him.
So taking a look at how some of these guys have done at Charlotte, and of course, we only run on the oval once a year now.
Yep.
We don't run there twice a year. But just looking at the track records, Martin Truex Jr. among active drivers, he leads everybody with 3 wins there, 14 top 10s in 32 races. Brad Keselowski's has won there twice, and then a number of guys have got wins there. I'll tell you, that day, one of those Truex wins, I was there. It was the 600 lap. When he led the whole 397 of 400 laps, and the only 3 laps he didn't lead were during
caution
stops.
when somebody pitted.
He led every lap he could have possibly led in that race.
That was the most dominating performance in the history of our sport. But you look down at the bottom of that, you got Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin, 35 and 32 races, 16 top 5s for Kyle, 20 top 10s for Denny. That's a phenomenal record down there. Even Joey Logano has a good one. There's some guys here that got good ones, but like you said, Kyle Busch, old stats versus new stats. Which one is it going to be? But Hamlin, that's good stats for him too.
No, it absolutely is, and I think it's really going to be.
I love how we put Ricky Stenhouse on that one too, by the way.
Well, and we talked about it a little earlier about the improvements that we've seen the Fords make, and especially on these type of racetracks right now. And one of the guys that's not even on the list showing his track record is Chris Buescher, who I think is a guy that, given what's happened to him in the last 2 points races, I mean, he's a guy that I think has got to get a lot of attention going into this week.
And one of those races was a mile and a half. Just like it's not, or a mile and a third, which is a big track, which proves to me they can run on these tracks.
Kansas and Darlington,
and Kansas is a mile and a half like it. So I mean, Buescher 4 top 10s last 10 races at Charlotte. So I mean, that's still a heck of a stat for just being at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Well, let's take a look at our odds to win, and our co-favorites, probably not a big surprise here. Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson are both plus 500, and then everybody else goes into double digits. William Byron, Martin Truex Jr., and Tyler Reddick at 10-1. Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, and Christopher Bell, 12-1. Chris Buescher, we mentioned him, 14-1. Really love that number there. Ty Gibbs is 16-1. Ross Chastain and Kyle Busch at 18, and Bubba Wallace at 20.
Yeah, I mean, 12-1 is your lead forward is Ryan Blaney at 12-1. Okay, I kind of get it. He's tied there with Brad Keselowski, but I think Brad Keselowski should absolutely be, maybe Tyler Reddick range. I think that Chris Buescher should be in that range. I think those are very, very great values on a to win race. Brad proved he's kind of back right there. Chris Buescher running so great, like you said, Kansas even almost win it, and Tyler Reddick double digit. I like those three numbers right now, right off the top of my head, to win a race. I think those three guys have a great shot.
Well, and look, we've also got William Byron and Martin Truex Jr. both in double digits. And I am fully convinced both of those guys are going to be factors in this race. I mean, this is a Martin Truex Jr. type of race. He is so consistent. He usually doesn't get himself in trouble.
No, 7 top 10s, 5 top 5s, last 10 races, average finish 7.9. So even the what have you done for me lately's, the problem is he's got a 29th in 2021, a 12th in 2022, but then back to a third last year in this race. So, kind of right at that.
22 was a horrible year for Martin Truex Jr.
Horrible.
I mean, it was just a horrible year, and I think he almost would like to just pretend that season never happened.
I don't disagree, but I go back and look at, what has he done really lately? You go back to Kansas. He was 4th at Kansas. So, here's a guy, got to fight. Remember, it was him and Chase Elliott right behind the two leaders banging on each other. So you might be onto something there. There's a lot of guys with double digits that got a shot to win this thing. All
right, let's look at our longer shots here for odds to win. Joey Logano, like Bubba Wallace, also is 20-1. Alex Bowman is 30-1. Noah Gragson, 40-1. Chase Briscoe, Eric Jones, Daniel Suarez, Josh Berry, and Todd Gilliland all at 100-1. Stenhouse is 150. McDowell is 200-1. And the field bet is 20. There's probably better drivers in the field than what we're used to seeing, because Josh Berry, who certainly proved he can race on these type tracks. Justin Haley falls into the field, and the other thing about Charlotte that we well know is this can always turn into a fuel mileage race. We saw Austin Dillon, Casey Mears. Casey Mears got his only career win in the Coke 600 because of fuel mileage race. Austin Dillon got a win in the Coke 600. It was really a fuel mileage situation. So that really kind of opens up the field bet. I just wish it was a bigger number.
I just look, you go down that list, you got Alex Bowman, who is on the juggernaut of Hendrick. The only problem is he's going to have 2 top 10s in the last 10-mile-and-a-half races. You go out to Charlotte, and it's not much better just at Charlotte for him. So, but that's a guy that always, to me, is one of those where when Alex Bowman shows up, think about what he did at Vegas, not too long ago. So it's like, hey, what do you say with Alex Bowman? He's got 4 top 10s last 8 races here, 50% top 10. And there's a guy right now, 30-1. That's a good number if you're looking for a long shot.
For Alex Bowman is you've got to see consistency really for 4+ hours out there. And I think that's maybe something that they've struggled with a little bit, was just that long-term consistency, because we see him run well, but it seems like there's flashes during every race where he's running really well, and then
he just fades,
and then something goes awry. Yep. All right, let's take a look at our odds for top 3. Kyle Larson is at the top of the board at plus 130. Denny Hamlin plus 170. Tyler Reddick 225. Ryan Blaney 286. That's a very odd number.
I think it's a typo.
Probably a typo, but maybe he's plus 285. Let's just say Ryan Blaney's plus 285. But I'll give you that extra tenth of a point if you bet him this week. William Byron is plus 275. Truex and Elliott at 300. Keselowski's 350. Bell, Buescher, and Gibbs at 400. Chastain 450. Busch and Logano 500. Bubba's 800 and Bowman at 850.
Chris Buescher, same people. Chris Buescher 400, Brad Keselowski. But the question I have right there is that Kyle Busch stat. Kyle Busch here, he is the number one point getter in the last 10 races here. 8 top 10s, 6 top 5s, and a win in the last 10 races. Do you think that Kyle Busch, after all this, normally Kyle Busch, when you think about this, when Kyle Busch gets pissed off, Kyle Busch comes to play.
I'm just okay.
Top 3. I don't need him to win. Top 3.
My issue there, I guess, on the whole Kyle Busch thing is he can be as mad as he wants to be, and he can come to play as much as he wants to be. But if that car is not going to be capable enough,
yeah, but Kyle can make a car do something that other people can't.
You're kind of right. Okay, and our longer shots: Noah Gregson's 14, Gilliland 20, Briscoe, Barry, Jones at 22, Suarez is 25, Stenhouse, McDowell, Dillon at 50, Ryan Preece, Carson Hocevar, Cindric all 60-1, Zane Smith, Justin Haley, Nemechek, and Jimmy Johnson at 130-1.
It's sad that you've got Jimmy Johnson, his legacy. Jimmy, just stop. 130-1 for a top 3. I'm sorry. It just, this used to be called Lowe's Motor Speedway. This used to be called Jimmy Johnson Speedway. Now he's showing up and he's getting what?
I find it interesting that Barry was 20-1 at Darlington for a top 3, but he's 22-1 here at Charlotte, and
he got a top 3.
So I think that one probably surprises me a little bit. But I really think that the top 3 is going to come out of the ones that are on the board.
Yeah.
Okay, we come back on Gaughan Racing. We'll start getting into the driver head-to-heads, and then we'll get into group matchups.
South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rockin' dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grandview Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show. Every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grandview Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grandview Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Back here in Gaughan Racing, Jeff Motley alongside Brendan Gaughan talking all things Coca-Cola 600, Charlotte Motor Speedway. My favorite day in racing. To me,
Monaco,
if you're a college football fan that loves New Year's Day, if you're an auto racing fan, it's the greatest day. You're right. We start in Monaco in France, then we head over to Indianapolis. It's too bad somebody couldn't try to do the triple. I just think that flight would be, until Scotty could beam you over, like the Star Trek Enterprise from Monaco to Indy. I don't think we could do that. It would be very cool. But anyway, we have Monaco. And
Monaco's kind of Monaco, not really France.
The Monaco, also known as the Max Verstappen Open, probably. So
F1 has been, we don't talk about that, thank God. Yeah. But for our head-to-heads at Coke 600.
We've got some really interesting, we have some big numbers here.
But they're tough to win.
They're tough to win, But the question you have to ask yourself is, if Kyle Larson runs the Indy 500,
how much energy will he have left?
And he's going to have to start at the rear of the field. Now, granted, it's 400 miles, 400 laps, 600 miles. There's plenty of time to get there. But you're right. That can take something out of you at some point. And if he ends up being late.
If he's late, if
he can't start the race, does he even get in the car? Because he gets no points if he doesn't start the race.
I thought you just had to get in it.
No, the guy who starts the race gets the points, which would be Justin Allgaier if he has to start the race. And so then Larson would have to go to NASCAR to get the waiver for the playoffs and everything else.
Yeah. That's a good question. And what would the books actually make it a no action and give you the money back if he didn't even get into the race? That's a good one. To me, I look at how tired is he going to be? How, does he get himself dinged up at Indy and make it in time and then, isn't feeling good? So you got a lot of big ones. Martin Truex Jr. is plus 130 to Larson's 150. Tyler Reddick's a 130 to 150.
William Byron's
a 130 to 150. I'm not saying to bet the don't line on Kyle, but I do like, especially Tyler Reddick as well as he's been, lately. I don't dislike the Martin Truex Jr. like you talked about with his run at Kansas. I kind of like those two, and that's a big head-to-head number right there. I don't dislike either of those.
Yeah, I just think that it might be worth the gamble on any of these guys. And if you want to just completely take Kyle Larson on the don't line, I just feel like sometimes they're kind of making these odds based on if he wasn't running Indy. But I don't think you can discount that. I think running Indy
true. Very, very true. I mean, you have to say that he was running Indy. That's going to affect this, and I think that DraftKings has this kind of has forgotten a little tidbit there. So I like the don't line against Larson right now. No offense, I like it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that one. All right, let's take a look. Get into our group matchups. And Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson are the co-favorites in Group A at plus 225. And then some pretty big numbers on a couple of really good racers here. William Byron, who honestly, Byron has struggled a little bit over the last few weeks, hasn't been quite as good at plus 320. And then Martin Truex Jr. at plus 325. And we know the success he's had at Charlotte Motor Speedway, especially in this race.
I can take the same standing of Larson. I can kind of remove from this a little bit just in case. So who do I like? Denny's been strong. But you know what? Truex has kind of been running pretty good lately.
Denny's got to make a lot of pit stops in a 600-mile race.
And we all know that Denny and pit stops tend to be his Achilles heel. So whether it's him or the crew, that William Byron 320 is pretty enticing.
Well, both Byron and Truex. At 325, I think those are great numbers. Group A always kind of tends to scare me a little bit.
We very rarely do we actually. We bet them occasionally. This is one of those weeks where you can make it a 3-man race because I think Kyle Larson, you can pull out of it. The 320, 325 entices me a little bit. I'd pick one of those two. Hard for me to judge between them.
I kind of agree with you on that one. All right, taking a look at Group B, our favorite here is Tyler Reddick at plus 250. Ryan Blaney is plus 270. And then Chase Elliott and Christopher Bell at plus 275.
Look, Blaney didn't run well at Kansas, hasn't run well at, a lot. Take that. There's a Ford right there that I don't, believe in, let's say. Christopher Bell.
Honestly, only one of these four guys has run well lately.
And Chase
Elliott got the win. And then
but Chase Elliott ran third at Kansas recently, and so I got to look at that and say, hey, Chase ran pretty good there. Did he run? He ran 12th at Darlington. Okay. I like Tyler Reddick the most there. The guy we haven't talked about at all is Christopher Bell much on this show today. And Seabell,
he's another guy that's been struggling lately. He's got 5 races with 2 top 10s at Charlotte. On the mile and a half, Christopher Bell's 5 top 5s, 3 top 10s in the last 10 races. Not terrible, but not great. I like the Tyler Reddick, and it's 250. And let me ask you a question about Tyler Reddick. I agree with you. I like Tyler Reddick here at plus 250. But let me ask you a question. What happened 2 weeks ago at Darlington between him and Chris Buescher?
He went for it.
No, hold on. Huh. Does that affect Tyler Reddick in the next race? Does he think about, oh, geez, last race I put a guy in the fence. I'm not gonna be as aggressive?
No, the race car drivers have memories like a kicker. We forgot about the last kick. I think Harrison Butker wishes people had short memories. I don't mind what he's saying. But no, I think that he. I think Reddick isn't going to think about that at all. He's thinking about going for the win again. And Reddick is your third best point getter in the last 10 mile and a half. 5 top 5s, 6 top 10s in the last 10 mile and a half races with a win. I like that Tyler Reddick right there, 250. Chase Elliott, he's good. He's run okay, but like you said, he's still not the Chase Elliott that won the championship. He's been above board and much better than he was. But I think Tyler Reddick is by far the best in that group.
Totally agree. All right, let's take a look at Group C. Brad Keselowski is a huge favorite here at plus 210. Then Chris Buescher and Ty Gibbs both at plus 285, and Ross Chastain at plus 305. And I'm just going to tell you straight up, I absolutely love Chris Buescher right here.
You know, the only one that scares me in this about other than Chris Buescher,
his teammate,
is his teammate. You know,
look at the difference in plus 210 and plus 285, and if you want to flip a coin between those
there's
two.
My enticement, right? We always talk about that. What entices me to go one way? Well, they got a 285 for old Buescher. I like that, especially, I mean, look, Chastain notwithstanding, Ty Gibbs has been running a lot better.
And he finished second at Darlington, but let's keep in mind, Buescher was a better car than Ty Gibbs was.
Yeah, I mean, he was way. The two guys hit each other to get him there. You know, Ty Gibbs run good, okay in the last, in the mile and a half. Okay, I mean, he's had an up down kind of season. You know, 5th at Vegas. All right, I'm sure. Okay.
Buescher will eat the steering wheel. He is going to be so motivated. I think.
And Ross Chastain is the only other one, but that team has not been the Ross Chastain of the last couple of years. And if you look at the last 10 mile and a half, 4 top 10s, I love Chris Buescher. I love Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher. But for 285, I like Chris Buescher.
I'm totally with you. And before we keep on with our groups, you mentioned something about, Chastain, the team Trackhouse hadn't been running as well. A lot was made this week, by the way, out of comments from Daniel Suarez about how poorly he was running. And he said, if I thought this is the way we were going to keep running, I would just retire right now. Do you think that that whole team, is there a level of frustration, you think, going on over there?
I think that, here's the thing, they did so well out of the box with this new car, buying Ganassi, this whole thing, that I think they overachieved and put expectations almost too high.
But he also has a win this year.
He does. But
he's done nothing since then.
But he hasn't been performing up to snuff. And honestly, Ross Chastain has not been running as well as they've done the last couple seasons. So that team, I think what's happened is the new car, we all talked about it, that first year. Remember, I was negative for the whole season.
Everybody was so dead even.
Well, and I was negative because you couldn't figure out what was going on that season. Now, Gibbs and Hendrick have done what they do. RFK has really made a change. But I think that the Trackhouse team has not gained. They were pow, and they've stayed right here, and everybody else has moved back above them.
And even RFK has surpassed them at this point right now. So, okay, continuing on with our groups, I just wanted to bring that up because I thought those comments from Suarez this week were very telling because Daniel, as we know, Daniel, he is so upbeat. He's a great guy. Just a great guy. So, all right, taking a look at Group D, Kyle Busch is our favorite here at plus 255. Bubba Wallace and Joey Logano both at plus 260. And the guy you talked about earlier, Alex Bowman, plus 300 in this group. And I know you were blown away when we were looking through our notes before the show to see the list of drivers that are in Group D.
Group D. First, Ross Chastain, 6 races at Charlotte, 0 top 10s. Just FYI. This group to me, how the mighty have fallen. You got champion Joey Logano, champion Kyle Busch, and Alex Bowman and Hendrick, all in Group D. I mean, this is normally you and I would look at this. If this was any other year, you and I would look at this and say, Joey Logano in a Group D? Oh, my God, I'm taking it. Oh. Kyle Busch in a Group D? Oh, my God, I'm taking it. Alex Bowman in a Group D? Oh, my God, I'm taking it.
And I don't like any of the three.
And you've got all three of them in Group D, and you're
and
like...
I don't like any of the three this week.
And it's like, well, Bubba Wallace might actually be able to beat all three of them. So this is a tough one. This is my X this week. If you took the stats, Kyle Busch, by stats, by far, arm and a leg ahead. RCR, it's a question mark. Joey Logano and the Fords, they've been non-existent this year. Alex Bowman is that ghost that never...
I think it's now Joey Logano and the Penske team, not Joey Logano and the Fords.
I will be with you there. I agree. And to me...
Bowman, who knows?
But you never know. We said that. Which Bowman's going to show up? And really, Bubba Wallace has probably been the most consistent of everybody in this group.
And a team that has worked on its 1.5 mile program.
They're running pretty good.
Reddick is running well.
He finished 4th in this race last year. So, if you really want to pick anybody, it's 260. The problem is you're taking a long shot and only getting 260 on it, in my opinion. this is my X group this week.
Well, I do like Bubba here, but that's just
No, so do I. But it's just I still my X group.
all right. Taking a look at Group E, Todd Gilliland, Daniel Suarez, who we just talked about, plus 260. Stenhouse and McDowell at plus 275. And I'm going to be honest with you, there's one guy here I like above all the others.
McDougal.
No.
Oh.
I like Gilliland here. I just think that guy, week in and week out, has been running stronger and stronger. And guess what? He won for me a couple weeks ago.
No, he did. And we've been high on him. You know, McDowell's only got one top 10 here. If you talk about the mile and a half program, you know, Gilliland's probably been of the better end of this. McDowell's got 3 top 10s in the last 10 mile and a halves, and Todd, he's got none.
If you believe in the whole, he hadn't run that many races, but also if you believe in the whole, the guy that's going to be here next year is getting the good stuff.
No, true.
You know, there's a difference there. And
I don't know. I've been high on Todd quite a few times this year. It's just for me. It's once again, will Daniel Suarez show up?
Well, and right now I think Daniel Suarez clearly suffering from a confidence or frustration. I mean, so we'll see. Okay, we got one more segment to go. We come back, we'll give you our Group F, our manufacturer props, and tell you about our picks.
If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry-aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone. And if you're craving a taste of Italy, come experience delicious Italian cuisine and the attentive service at Don Vito's. Our culinary team starts with the freshest ingredients and transforms them into traditional favorites. And don't forget Italian desserts. Don Vito's. Savor the taste of Italy. Finally, if sushi is more your style, join us at the popular Zenshin Asian restaurant and sushi bar, where we're serving up the freshest sashimi, nigiri, and sushi rolls. And beyond the sushi, an exciting contemporary Asian cuisine menu. Plus a variety of specialty drinks, Japanese and domestic beer, wine, and sake. Balance your hunger with Zenshin.
All right, back here on Gaughan Racing, our final segment. Jeff Motley alongside Brendan Gaughan, the beautiful South Point Studios. With
a monitor that works.
I was going to say no broken monitors this week.
I think they told me the monitor was fixed very quickly. Andrew came in and said
this is a racing show, not a golf show. Frank Nicotero, if you're not aware, he decided to take a golf swing, and this studio isn't exactly that big. We're not Sports Center in here.
No, if you go in there it is right there. You can see that one right here under me. Frank, if you go to the South Point Studio YouTube channel, you can see the fantastic video or the Twitters or any of that stuff. It actually one of our first viral videos for the South Point Studio.
Viral. The awful announcing was all about it.
That's right. No, it was pretty funny. Frank decided he was going to take a wedge and do a practice golf swing and came back and
maybe you and I could race tricycles in here and see what we could run into.
See if we can get around the
make a lap.
We'd race tricycles around Las Vegas Motor Speedway once. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah,
I did down the front straightaway.
That's a long way. It did a little quarter mile.
I won.
The Legends. I'm sure you did. So you probably had the weight advantage on me there. All righty, our last group to talk about here. Group F: Carson Hocevar and Justin Haley, both at plus 250. John Hunter Nemechek is plus 275, and Corey LaJoie at plus 300.
I've been high on Hocevar all year, right? But Justin Haley with that solid run at Darlington, of all places, kind of has me scratching my head going, I look back to last year, Justin Haley, 15th for Colleague at this race at the Coke 600. Those aren't bad numbers for a kid with these, kind of lower tier teams.
This is going to be probably I don't think Hocevar's run this race before. It's going to be the longest race
he's ever run. I kind of like Nemechek because I just like Nemechek, but Corey LaJoie definitely not performed up to what we were expecting Corey LaJoie this year. He's at 300, but I like the Justin Haley bet right there, the 250 Justin Haley.
I actually like Hocevar and Haley here, which is the reason I'm going to stay away from this group. There's a part of me that wanted to pick Hocevar, and then part of me wanted to pick Haley, and that's why I said I'm not picking either one of them.
He's been performing well this year, Hocevar. Right. I mean, he's run well, but what have you done for me lately? And Haley has done a lot lately.
Well, and until last week, I would have said, well, Hocevar is probably the rookie of the year, and then Josh Berry may have finally. Maybe Josh Berry is starting to establish himself.
One race does not make a season.
You're correct, but that is certainly a huge step forward
for
Josh Berry last week. Our manufacturer prop, and Ford is starting to get a little bit more respect. No plus 450 this week.
Yeah, no, I was kind of bummed. I was thinking I might jump in the Ford camp if it was still in the plus fours.
Plus 250 though, but Toyota's a favorite, plus 140, then Chevy plus 160. Which honestly, with Larson running Indy 500, I might have made that one about plus 180. And then Ford at plus 250. Still long shot odds on the Fords. I guess there's about the same number of Fords and Toyotas. Actually, there's probably fewer Toyotas, but maybe more quality Toyotas.
Fewer total, but
quality over quantity here. But plus 250 is still showing more respect to the Fords than what they were getting.
They were plus 600 a few months ago. This is way more respect than they were getting. I wish it was still in that 3 to 4 range because I'd probably bet it. But look, with Kyle Larson being a asterisk, let's say, the 140 Toyota is my favorite right now. But how many weeks do we have to have RFK and a Ford, second at Kansas, winning at Darlington, winning at the All-Star race? Just saying, it's the All-Star race, okay. But you got the famous Chris Buescher finish, the win, and Chris Buescher winning before the tussle. So the RFK Ford's running strong there, and then a Joey Logano Ford win at that. How many weeks in a row before we say Ford is definitely a threat? But I like Toyota 140.
Well, I'm going to stay away from the manufacturer.
Didn't say I was going to bet it this week, but
yeah, I'm going to stay away from this week because I really, honestly, I guess if you're going to go anywhere, I kind of like the Fords just because I think you could throw a hat over all three manufacturers right now. And with Ford plus 250, if I'm going to bet, I'm going to take where the most value is. But I'm probably
Ford's definitely gained the most in the last month by far.
Right, I agree.
Yes.
All right, let's take a quick look at our championship odds right now. The only movement we really saw was a slight little downtick for Brad Keselowski, but Brad only went from 18 to 1 to 16 to 1 with his win, and I think that's because he's been running so consistently lately, even though he hadn't found victory lane.
The South Point had him 36 to 1 before the weekend because he had gone up, but still. It hasn't moved a ton from the start of the season, and I think 16 to 1 is probably about right for him. But I think that if you think that RFK team is performing better, you still got a great value with Brad at 16, and how about Chris Buescher 30 right now? Those are two numbers that if you're looking at the futures, I like those two numbers the most.
Do you like anybody to get a win that's way up there in the numbers? I mean. Chase Briscoe, Josh Berry are both 100 to 1. Noah Gragson 75 to 1. Any of those guys win a race because keep in mind Suarez is not getting good numbers because of where he won at Atlanta. But if you can go win in Charlotte or you can win at Gateway,
yeah. But
I know, excuse me, Chris Blair. I know it's Worldwide Technology Raceway, but sometimes it's hard for us not to say Gateway.
Look, if Chase Briscoe does win at a Daytona or at road course something. It still doesn't move the needle for me because I don't feel they're a threat to win the championship. Alex Bowman, Chris Buescher, Joey Logano, Ross Chastain, Brad Kay, even Kyle Busch, Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, these are all guys that I feel are a threat to win the championship. So their double-digit long shot odds I like. The rest of them, they'll get there, but they'll get knocked out first round.
I don't disagree with you. Okay, this week, this is one of my favorite parts of the show.
Can we just blow off this part of the show this week?
No, because for the first time, maybe all year, or maybe the second time this year, you went 0 for 5. So for the first time,
Blah,
you're not
blah,
strutting
blah,
around
blah,
or
blah.
sending me texts, with dancing guys.
Hey, what's the overall
and-
standings? How about we just skip the picks and show?
Well,
let's blow off Brennan's Darlington picks minus
Problem
0
for
for
you,
5.
the problem for you is
can we-
I'm hosting
How do I
this
how do I
week.
how do I make that
Yep.
swipe? Can
Yep.
I use swipe and
Yep.
get the crew back there
This
to get
is
that?
not
off
a
the screen?
dating site. So, okay. All right.
Which way do I swipe to make it not happen? Right, left,
I'm not,
left, right.
I honestly don't even know. So
We're showing our age.
Shows what I know.
I'm still kicking your butts overall.
Yes,
I mean,
you are.
But everybody is above the Mendoza line.
We are. So let's take a real quick look. Darlington, 2 big wins for me. I had Denny Hamlin winning Group A, and I talked about Todd Gilliland.
You did.
Came
He got
through
you the
for
W.
me, gave me a Group F. I lost a really, really tough one there in the Eric Jones, Noah Gregson.
Yep, that was tight.
Really
And
thought of
Boucher.
it. And should have had Busher. But I also look back at it and say, if I had gotten Busher, I would have lost Hamlin because Reddick was in the same group and they wouldn't have wrecked each other, and Reddick would have finished ahead of Hamlin. So that one kind of balanced itself out. We don't really need to talk about yours because we do know that you did go 0 for 5. So therefore we won't. Pit crew, they got a couple right. They had Byron in Group B, and they had a head-to-head by taking Ty Gibbs, who came in second over Kyle Busch. So good pick for them. But the season standings, you still have a commanding lead, even though we did make up a little ground on you. You are at 21.85. The pit crew's at 6.6, and I'm at 5.55. So the moral of the story is, if you listen to us, you're making money.
You're making money.
And that's the most important thing. So with that,
I can't cool off. I can't let myself cool off to frigid levels. So I gotta get a couple W's here.
Well, and with that, we will get into our picks for this.
You're first,
week.
by the way, because we go worst first,
Yeah,
just in
I
case you're
am
wondering.
first.
Just in case you forgot. I can't remember.
Thanks for reminding me.
I just wanted to make sure
really
everybody knew that
really-
Jeff's worst first. So Jeff's first.
I really appreciate you.
Anytime I can help.
Okay, I'm going to go with one head-to-head, and that's banking on the worn-out Kyle Larson. I'm going to go with Truex at plus 130 over Kyle Larson. I'm going into Group B. I'm taking Tyler Reddick to win Group B. The rest of my picks are also in the groups. I told you I just love Chris Buescher this week in Group C. I'm going with Bubba Wallace in Group D and Todd Gilliland in Group E. So I'm riding that Gilliland train. And then the I got to give the pit crew picks this week. They are all about some Tyler Reddick this week and some head-to-heads. They've got Reddick over Hamlin at plus 130, Reddick over Larson at plus 130. They also have Byron over Hamlin at plus 130. Oh, this is the Ty Cobb method of singling us to death. They have Logano winning Group D, and they think he's going to come out fighting. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Group E.
Come out fighting. But I'm bummed. You've had 2 of those today. You've been on fire with some of those.
Well, every now and then a blind squirrel finds a nut. Remember that.
That's my dad's favorite line about my life. Okay, I'm going to start off with a top 3. I'm believing in the Boucher. I'm going Chris top 3. That plus 400 was just way too much for me to leave laying out there. And then I'm going 2 head-to-heads. I'm doing the don't line. I'm taking Reddick versus Larson, and I'm taking Truex versus Larson. I see too many variables here, even though I love Kyle and here's the thing, I want Kyle to win both. I think that would be absolutely phenomenal, absolutely amazing, but there's just a lot of variables.
We know how hard it is.
And then I'm going to go back and double dip on a Reddick. I'm doing Reddick Group B. I'm with you. I think that Reddick is just odds-on favorite there. Then I'm going to go head-to-head against you, Motley. I got Chris for a top 3. So I'm going to take Brad K to win Group C.
Our old producer Wyatt, he's
loving me right now.
He's the happiest guy.
Wyatt, we still text with Wyatt all the time, especially when Brad, after Darlington, Wyatt was like, throwing a party at his house because he finally got the W for old Brad K. But
he only lost about $5,000 betting on Brad K every week.
All you got to do is win it once and have enough, and you cover it. That was my Fritz Croyer, Kevin Croyer, the engine builder. His father Fritz worked for Casey back when he was in IndyCars.
Casey
Mears.
Okay.
And every week Fritz would bet $100 on Casey Mears to win a NASCAR race. Every week, $100. He made it all back when he won the Coke 600.
What were his odds on the Coke 600? He couldn't have made that much money.
Oh, it was like 80, 60, 80, 90 to 1.
Yeah.
So
that probably was a big number. So
he made it.
All right, we got about a minute left, Brendan. Coke 600. Where does this day rank for you? Will you get up and watch all 3 races?
I do. I end up waking up early. I will actually be in Mexico pre-running for the Baja 500, so I won't have the ability to, but I will have it on. I can listen to the radio in my car.
On Mountain Time, so you get an extra hour to watch Monaco before.
No,
right?
Baja's in Pacific Time.
That's not because Cabo's in Mountain Time.
I'm not in Cabo. We're up north in Ensenada.
Oh,
but no,
I guess
I will listen to it while pre-running in the car because we can get Sirius XM in the car, so I can stream it. So I'll be listening to the Monaco race because I love. That's one of my favorite. This is my favorite day of the year. It is. I mean, Monaco, Indy, NASCAR. I'm a NASCAR driver. I'm a race car driver. Best day ever.
I'm just perplexed what the world's coming to, that we're racing off-road trophy trucks through the middle of the desert in Mexico, and we've got Sirius XM. Like you could have 70s on 7 while you're jumping over sand dunes on the Baja Peninsula. But,
I'm more Rock the Bells or Road Trip Radio.
Okay. All right. Next week, we'll find out how Brendan done at Baja, who won the Coke 600, and start talking about the next race in Gateway.